sharpener. See, it's like, ooh, perfect tip. Did you just buy that? No, I didn't. I'm just really good at maintaining my brush because I'm a well-trained artist.
The cover for your
So,
sword.
yeah, well, it's just like clean your stuff after battle. You don't want to go back into battle to yucky, battle worn. Well, anyway, so now I'm gonna take a huge scoop of orange. Yep, I'm gonna take a huge scoop of orange. Again, remember when you're mixing, this is the way, not the way. Yes, that's the way. Remember, not the way. If I catch you guys doing this, I'm just gonna start crying. I'm gonna write a note to your mom. You say, look what your son did. I'm gonna take a photo, or daughter. So again, kind of like straight up and down. So this, okay, by the way, this is a really weak orange. Oh my gosh. It's way too weak to just go on there by itself. And it looks like a traffic cone orange. Pumpkins don't look like that. Not unless you have a plastic pumpkin. Real pumpkins, they've got some more of a naturey kind of color. So I'm gonna put the yellow ochre in there. The yellow ogre. I'm gonna use this ochre color. So let's test that. Oh yeah, that's way more natural. I like my pumpkins natural. So again, I'm petting downwards, and I'm just wiping it. I'm just wiping the tip of it. It's almost like I'm scooping the paint up, and then I'm wiping the tip off. Wiping the tip.
You're taking little kitties.
Petting kitties.
Earlier ones.
Let's not go there. You're being recorded, sweetie. So anyway, I'm gonna do one section. Remember, we want that blue in the middle. So I'm gonna do my next section. It's kind of like a little orange slice. I'm like one slice at a time. I'm not gonna eat the whole orange. I'm gonna go one slice at a time.
I eat the whole orange.
Gosh, you know what I love? Christmas is coming. Write this down. If you want to make your teacher happy. No, I love have you guys ever had those smash oranges? They're like chocolate oranges. Yeah. Oh man, I thought I was such a sophisticated kid growing up. I was like, I like smash oranges. It's just a bunch of chocolate with a little bit of orange flavoring in there. I felt very special. So here's my dark, my medium. Now I'm gonna try to hurry this up because I want you guys to paint. I want to have all the fun. I mean, I do. What am I talking about? Let me just see if I can hurry this up. Fast forward. You see, I'm just scraping it at the very tip. Now I got a nice glob here that I'm just gonna smooth out. By the way, you don't want it too chunky. If it's too chunky, it ain't gonna dry. It's just never gonna. Thank you. It's just never gonna dry if you do it too thick. If it doesn't dry, then you're gonna cry. Just think about that. So if it's too chunky, it's not gonna dry. Then you're gonna cry. So don't make it too thick. Don't make it too thin. So here's my favorite part. Now, ready? So they're touching, right? We've got our dark and our medium. Now, we know that when we're looking at something that has it's rounded, it's not actually like those warm-ups where it's just cut in half, it's like a straight line. Well, the values there are completely separated. Your dark and your light, it's just like a line is going across it. So conceptually, we know, it's light on the top, dark on the bottom. But it's a smooth transition, right? It's not actually like that in real life. So can you sit down? So you have your light and your dark, and you have a line in the middle. Now, what you do with that line is important. So, by the way, remember, take your yucky rag, put it behind here. You don't want to look at it. You don't want it touching you or your neighbor. And, ooh, here's a good opportunity. Ooh, yeah, look at me, clean as I go. Oh, yeah, 10 points for Gryffindor. So, ready?
What?
So, here we go. I'm going to make a nice clean, I'm going to make a nice clean, fluffy brush. I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to dry it up. Now, this thing, I don't want any extra paint on there. I'm just going to tap very gently across, clean off. Tap very gently across. Now what I'm doing is I'm just I'm just going boop, 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 boop. I'm just pressing the paint together. If you were to really zoom in and look at this real close with a magnifying glass, I'm just tapping them flat together, but it's kind of making that transition smooth. Now, if I put a little bit more pressure and I change the direction a little bit, a little bit this way with my brush, a little bit that way with my brush.
It's round.
Yeah, it's a little bit bouncy. glitzy. Well, that's because canvas is a little bouncy. It's kind of like a drum. It is. It's kind of like a drum. I actually, when I work at home, when I do my paintings, I use board. I use either wood board or masonite board because it doesn't bounce. Because I like it to be so super stiff that when I paint, I get really controlled blending. So do you see, I'm just tapping at them together. I can change the angle, I can clean my brush. But remember, repeat after me. Oh, no, you're right. No, repeat after me. I will always use my napkin to clean up my brush. Because you know what the difference between new painters and old painters is? No. Okay, guys, that was pretty good. But seriously, the difference between a new painter and an old painter is you will watch a painter who's been painting for years. They won't even notice that they're cleaning. They're always cleaning. If you watch me and Kai's the teacher over there. He and I are oil painting people. If you watch us paint, we're just always with the rag. Someone who's never really painted or has a lot of experience, they'll just paint and then use their dirty napkin, use their paint and dirty napkin. That's how you ruin your colors. So last but not least, we're going to do, so I'm just going to shape my brush one more time. Now I'm going to do that thing again where I use the tip of my brush. It's like standing straight up and down. And that picture is kind of really dark. I'm going to make it brighter later so you can see it. But again, I'm going to use the side. I'm going to use this side of my brush, or the side of the paint. Wow. I'm going to make it real bright. It's mostly white, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of orange. Ooh, look at that. And do you see how I'm just,
peach color.
do you see how I'm mixing it like in a very small pile? I'm not going all over the plate. I'm not going crazy, just smearing it around. Again, I'm not doing that. I'm not smearing it big, right? So now I just have a little bit here. Now look at this. Think about this kind of like a fingernail. So if you look at this and you're like, oh, okay, well my fingernail, it's not going across the whole entire thing. There's a little bit of side over here, a little bit of side over here. The nail's just at the tip. This kind of gross actually. Think of it kind of like, oh, well here's where the highlight goes, and it's at the tip, just like a finger. It's at the tip. It's a small portion. That's this shape. It's the shape of this. Like pumpkin oval, it's rounded, and then it's lighter than everything else, just like a fingernail. And then you just put a little small section in there, but you're gonna do that on each one. And there's a little edge here. See how there's a little edge here between it, just like with your finger, a little bit of skin on either side, a little at the top, right? Unless you're a lady and you have real long nails.
It's like you're drawing a finger.
Right? So I'm going to put it on, I'm going to place it on first. And again, I'm not putting heavy pressure on it. I'm not doing this. I'm not pressing super duper hard. Like, I'm not doing that. It's just the very tip. It's a little bit of pressure. It's just like it's almost like I'm wiping the color off. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clean this off.
That's good.
I'm going to really clean it off. Yeah.
Yeah, you can clean it
Now, I'm just going to do that. Bop, 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 bop. And you know what, you can look at the last class and you can see, ooh, which ones do I really like? Which student really controlled their edges?
The second one.
Which student controlled their highlights? Okay, shh. Who controlled their highlights? Who controlled their edges? Now, for this part, if you're all done with that, you can do your stem. Stem shadow, just make it a little bit darker. Remember, for very small shapes, you just use a tip. I'm going to wrap this up because I want to get you guys painting now because you have enough information. I can go in between the pumpkin. So, by the way, it looks actually really, now this is a fancy, like, painter thing. If you start from the bottom and you go up and then you just kind of let go and you let it disappear, this dark, when you go over the line, instead of tracing the whole entire pumpkin, so that it's like, oh, I just traced it with a Sharpie. You actually are going to just have it go from dark to light, because then it gives a sensation of like, oh, there really is light at the top. Because even the lines go from dark to light, right? So that's a real fancy, like, advanced tip.
You have to do it.
Your shadow, by the way, I would make it kind of, you can make it a little bit more on the thin side, not too thick. I'm kind of noticing that if you leave a small gap between your pumpkin and the shadow, it kind of just shows up a little bit better than if you just merge the shadow with the pumpkin, because then it just looks like a pumpkin with a weird bottom. So, and then that way you can kind of like define the edge a little bit more with the really dark. And remember, I'm just reminding you,
What about that?
I'm just reminding you, you're going to not use nearly as much, you're really not going to use water to spread today.
What about this?
Yeah, fine, I'll do it, fine. Twist my arm. Yeah, and then it's light on this side, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, some of you folks might get this done, and you might start on your background, but next week is going to be background week where we do nice and thick. I'm going to keep this projected up here. I'm going to point and be like, are you pressing down too hard? Are you cleaning your brush? Are you making sure that you have your sword and shield? Are you mixing in a small location? Are you using the right amount of water? All these things. I'm going to be coming around and be checking on you guys a lot. For now, you may go back to your seats. I will distribute your materials.